Hello, my dear students. I'm Vinod Shankaran from EduShastra, and today we will be learning everything about tenses. Welcome all of you, Tanya, Nupur, and Anjali, Japsharan, Mahima. There are many students here. Nupur, Swati, Yashi, Georgie, Vijay Kumar. All of you, welcome. Okay, and today we will learn a very, very important concept. A very important concept. Okay. Okay, we will learn a very important concept, and that is tenses. याद रखना, टेंस सीखना एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है. ग्रामर का एक बहुत अहम अगर कोई जगह है, then that is tenses. If you know tenses, then most of your problems seem to be over, because without tense you cannot create a sentence, and without sentences we cannot have language. Okay, so it becomes very important. It becomes very important that we know what tenses are. हिंदी में पूछेंगे टेंस क्या है, तो you might say कि सर काल होता है. And if I ask you what काल, what time, you would say present, past and future. But present, past and future of what? किस चीज का present, past or future? Now, all of you who have joined me, you can ask questions in the last 10 minutes of the class. When we are reaching the end of the class, I'll give you time, 10 minutes, to ask your questions. Till then, you simply learn the concepts. And you can chat with me. That is no problem. You can always chat with me. But to ask a question, you need to wait till the last 10 minutes of the class. Okay? And then we can go ahead, and then we will yes, we can go ahead and learn whatever doubts you have that can be cleared. Now, let's first of all try something. What is tense? सबसे पहले tense क्या होता है, काल क्या होता है? Okay, now how many of you know the concept of verbs? Verb के concept कितने लोगों को आता है? शुरू वहीं से होगा. Verb का concept क्या है, वहां से शुरू होना चाहिए. Now, where will the concept of verbs start? That is where we start, and then we will go on. Okay, now let's start the class. We have spent enough time in the introduction. I'm Vinod Shankaran, and towards the end of the class, you will have 10 minutes where you can ask your doubts. But if you really do have a doubt, you can put it in the chat box, and I'll be able to answer that. Now, tense, what is tense? Okay, now let's come to this. What all do we have to learn in tense, sir? First thing is, what is tense? The identification of tense. Okay, what is tense? The identification of tense and how to use them. Three things you need to know in English. Without tenses, you cannot write sentences either in Hindi or in English or in Bengali or Tamil. In any language you go to, we always write a sentence with tenses, but that, which means it's a very important concept, sir. And how does it become important, and what is this concept? Let's learn. First of all, tense की identification. Let's understand how to identify the tenses. Before we get in there, let's know what tenses are. काल क्या होते हैं, tense क्या होते हैं, उसको जान लेते हैं. Then we will know how to identify the tenses. If I ask you, you will say, sir, there are present tenses, past tenses, and future tenses. Three tenses, and some of you may be more forthcoming, and you might say, sir, for each, sir, simple tenses, continuous tenses, perfect tenses, and perfect continuous tenses, which is present, simple present, simple past, simple future. Present continuous, past continuous, future continuous. Present perfect, past perfect, future perfect. And then you would also say present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous. Okay, so what happens here is we know the tenses, the names of tenses. Can you actually identify them? That's a trick. Now, that's a tough thing also. But before we go anywhere, let us understand what tenses are. Tense किसको कहते हैं, वो समझो पहले. Okay, how many of you know the concept of verbs? What are verbs? Now, if you know, well and good. If you do not know, okay, If you do not know what verbs are, let me first of all tell you this. Okay. Okay. Let me first of all tell you what are verbs. Kriyaएं क्या होती? What are verbs? Now, verbs do two things. Remember, verbs are not action words. If I ask you, most of you might say, sir, verbs are action words. Now, that is not all it does. उतना ही केवल काम नहीं, दो काम करता है. ये सिर्फ एक काम नहीं करता. They do not only show the action. They do two things. They show the state of a noun or a pronoun. What do we mean by state? किसी नाउन या प्रोनाउन के होने या रहने के बारे में बताता है. होने या रहने के बारे में. First thing we should know is it tells us about the being or the state of a noun or a pronoun. I'll give you examples. Or the action of a noun or a pronoun. Which means if there is a verb, it has to work on a noun or a pronoun. Verb अकेले कुछ नहीं कर सकता. A verb has to work on a noun or a pronoun. It has to work on a noun or a pronoun. And what does it do? It tells the state or action of a noun or a pronoun. Sir, state का मतलब क्या है? Let me write a sentence and you'll know. You see here. I am a teacher. I am a teacher. Now you see, the verb here is am. Okay. Now, is there any action? No, sir. This is a noun. Teacher is a noun. You learn parts of speech, right? You learn parts of speech. You should know how to identify a noun. Teacher is a noun. Teacher is a noun. And I is a pronoun. So what is am, sir? Am shows the state of the person. This person is in the state of being a teacher. Is in the state of being a teacher. मैं एक teacher हूँ. In Hindi, if you wanted, मैं एक teacher हूँ. Who means होना, रहना. Okay, so this is called a state verb. You would say, sir, this is called a helping verb. No, for the time being, it's a state verb because it is telling us not an action, but it is telling us how a person is, the being, the state of the person. Okay, now here, look at this. I teach English. I teach English. Now, when I write this, here you will see that there is an action, sir. मैं पढ़ाता हूं, which means I'm doing an action. Now, the action is also called the verb. Action is also called the verb, and the state is also called the verb. Now, the state and action of a noun or a pronoun, the word which shows the state or action of a noun or a pronoun is called the verb. Now, what is the time of the verb here? This is called a state verb. जिसको कहते हैं state verb. Is, am, are, was, were are called state verbs. You might say it, they are helping verbs, but I'll tell you when they become helping verbs. Wait for a minute. These are called state verbs. Is, am, are, was, were. These are state verbs because they show the being. समय बताता है होने या रहने का. Now, you tell me something. What is the state? What is the time of the state here? This is present. This is present, which means the verb can show 3 times. The verb can show 3 times. The present times, the past times, and the future times. The present time of the action, the past time of the action, the future time of the action. Or the present time of being state, the past time of being state, or the future time of being. Which means verbs show state or action, and the time of the action or the verb, the action of the state, the time of the state and the time of the action is called tense. So if you want a tense, then what should you first of all have? Verb. If you want tense, what is the first thing we want? We want the verb. And the verb has to show the present, past, or the future. And the verb can do 2 things. It can show the state or action of the noun or the pronoun. So time of the verb is called tense. Now remember, time of the verb is called tense. No verb, no tense. सुन लो, सारे लोग कान खोल के सुनो. Verb नहीं, तो tense भी नहीं. Now, you will give me the answer in the chat box. Tell me, what is the tense of today? What is the tense of today? First of all, decide whether it can show the state or action of a noun or a pronoun. and then tell me the time. Please be careful. What is the tense of today? You can chat and tell me. All of you, बताना कि today का tense क्या है? Present है, past है, future है कि tense ही नहीं है सर? देखता हूं. Quick. I want answers from each one of you there in the class. Okay? Chat, in the chat box, just go ahead and type. Anjali, Apur, we have Vikas Jyoti, Georgie, Japsharan, Mahima, Nilima, Parnika, Saraswati. Okay, all of you, I want you to answer. I have not gotten even one answer till now. And if you, yes, today is present. Mahima says present. Apurv also says present. Now tell me, suppose, what did I tell you what a verb is? A verb must work on a noun or a pronoun. बताया था ना? ठीक है, एक चीज देखना इसको. Ravi, today. कुछ मीनिंग बना? Ravi, today. कुछ मीनिंग बना? स्टेट है उसका. Ravi आज आया है, खा रहा है, सो रहा है. Is there any action? No. Is there any state? No. Which means today is not able to do the function of a verb. It is not able to do the function of a verb. So if there is no verb, how will you get tense? How will you get tense? There is no tense in today. There is no tense in today. So what is tense? What is today? Today is an adverb. Today is an adverb. You learned parts of speech. You should be able to tell me this. Okay? Today is an adverb. It's not a verb. That's why it is not able to give us a sentence. But look at this. He came today. Now look at this and you will immediately understand what I'm trying to tell you. Look at this sentence. He came today. Now look at this. The tense is past tense. Simple past tense. Came is simple past tense. How, sir? You are looking at the verb to tell me the time. You are looking at the verb to tell me the time. And what is today doing? It is simply adding to the information, sir. Kriya, Visheshan, adverbs. They only add some more information to the verb. But to see tense, you have to look at the verb. If there is no verb, there is no tense. Is that clear to all of you? You should say yes or no in the chat box. Or else, I'm not going ahead. I'm not going to teach you anymore. First of all, the basic concept of knowing what is tense. Okay, so please go ahead and type yes, all of you. Yes, very good. Cheyenne, Saraswati, very good, Vita. Very nice. Very nice. 2 of you have said, yes, sir, it's clear. Others, what happened? Quick. I want all of you to type fast. Yeah, very nice. I'm happy. Okay. I know it has been a long day for all of you. Okay, you must be tired. Whatever you're doing, studying, playing, doing so many things. Okay, but still, when you're in the class, show all energy. The energy must be there in the class. I want to see that you are learning things. Well, now, very nice. Very nice, Vita. Now, there is one more. Tell me the tense. What are you looking at? Okay, what are you looking at? And you tell me the tense. He had dinner. Oh, sorry. He had dinner. Now, which one is telling you the tense? Had dinner or he? Which one? Had. Very good. So what is the tense here? It is simple past tense. It is past tense. Absolutely, Saraswati, Parnika, all of you. Very nice, beta. Very, very nice. That is the kind of knowledge that we will be getting. So time of the verb is called tense. If there is no verb, there is no tense. And sir, you said that, I said that, is, am, are, was, were, or called. I said, okay. I said, is, am, are, was, were, or called state verbs, right? Is, am, are, was, and were are called, I said, state verbs. Now, sir, our teachers taught us that these are helping verbs, and you are saying that these are state verbs. How did they become state verbs? Okay, let's come to this now. These are called state verbs. Sir, why are you calling them state verbs? Because now listen, again, listen very carefully. When is, am, are, was, were come alone, when they are the only verbs in the sentence, they are called state verbs, or we have one more name. These are all also called to be verbs. These are all also called to be verbs when they come alone in a sentence. So when I say I am a teacher, you see, there is no other verb, sir. I am a teacher. There is only one verb. Now, in this case, I'll call this a state verb. But when it comes with another verb, then I call this a helping verb. I am teaching. Now, here this comes with another verb. Here it's a helping verb. Do you get the point? When is, am, are, was, were are alone in a sentence, they are called state or to be verbs. And when they come with another verb, they are called helping verbs. Otherwise, is, am, are, was, were cannot be called helping verbs if they do not come with another verb. Now, this is one part. We know now what tenses are. Now, let's go to the second part. That part is very important. How many tenses do we have, sir, in English? Okay. Now, you'll be surprised. I counted 12. Okay. Now, look at this. 12 tenses for the active voice. 12 tenses for the active voice. Now, what is the active voice? I'll tell you. Just hold on for a second. And 8 tenses for the passive voice. 8 tenses for the passive voice. In all, we have 20 tenses. 12 for the active and 8 for the passive. What are active voices and passive voices? And how do we identify the tenses? Because once tense identification is in its place, grammar will never go awry. You will be able to learn grammar so easily that you would come and thank me saying, sir, this tense itself was a big headache. It made us tense. Now I'm tension free. Okay, so let's come to this. What are identification now? Now, how many tenses do we have? 12 tenses. Let's leave the 8 for the time being. Let's talk about the 12 active tenses that we have learned from school. Okay, every tense has 4 parts: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Okay, we have simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous tenses. There are 4 tenses. There are 4 tenses for each of them. So for present tenses, you have 4: simple present, present continuous, present perfect, present perfect continuous. For past tenses, again, we have 4: simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. For the future, again, we have 4: simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous tenses. 12 in all. But do you know how to recognize or identify the tense in a sentence? Is it possible? I'll teach you a trick. You will never ever call out the name wrongly. Let me show you. See, present के, past के और future के 4 tenses हैं. देखना, simple, continuous, perfect और perfect continuous. Present के 4, past के 4 और future के 4. 12 tenses हो गए. अब ये सारे 12 tenses, all these 12 tenses are active tenses. Let me tell you, in English, we give the name to tenses only for the active voice. For the passive voices, there are no special names. We use the same names, but the verbs change. We use the same names as simple present, simple past, simple future, etc. But we say simple present passive, simple past passive. Okay, now that comes later. But remember, from our school days, स्कूल के दिनों से हमने क्या सीखा है? जो 12 टेंस हमें सिखाया गया था, वो सारे के सारे एक्टिव टेंसेस हैं, पैसिव टेंसेस नहीं. पैसिव टेंस के कॉम्बिनेशन ही कुछ अलग होता है. That we will learn. But let's come to the trick now. How do we identify the tenses? These 12 tenses. How will I be able to say that this particular sentence is in a particular tense? Like, I have had dinner. Is it a correct sentence, sir? I had had dinner when my father came. Is that a correct sentence, sir? It is. How? I'll tell you now. Okay. Look at this. To identify tenses, To identify tenses, you should know the 4 different forms of the verb. Verb को हम 4 तरीके से या 5 तरीके से लिख सकते हैं. Remember, all of you, people who have never learned grammar, please pay attention to this. The verb can be written in 5 different forms to suit or to write different tenses. To write different tenses, what English does is, it changes the verb into 5 different formats. What are the 5 formats, sir? Okay. The first format, V1, it is called the V5 format. There are 2 formats which are used to show the present tense. There are 2 formats used to show the present tense. Okay. That is, if there is a verb be, अगर verb be है, होना रहना, be का मतलब होना या रहना, the state, then as a V5 verb, it changes to is, am, are. And the same verb changes to the past form, which is called V2 form of the verb. It becomes was and were. And the same verb be becomes been when it wants to show the perfect tense. V3 we call them. And then the be itself becomes being when you want to show the continuous tense, and it is called the V4 form of the verb. So there are 5 forms of the verb, but the V1 and V5 show present tenses. V1 and V5 show present tenses. V2 shows past tense, V3 shows perfect tense, and V4 shows continuous tense. A combination of these verbs are used to make sentences. इसी के combination को use करके sentence बना देते हैं और tense को पहचान लेते हैं. I'll show you how. Now, look at the next verb, have. Have becomes has as a V5 verb. Have is also present and has is also present. Where do we use these? I'll teach you as we go along. Now, had is used for the past tense also, and had is used for the perfect tense also. And having is used for the continuous tense. Let's take another verb. Eat is the present form of the verb. Eats is also the present form of the verb. Where do we use eat, sir? I'll tell you. I'll teach you. Ate is the past form of the verb. Eaten is the perfect form of the verb. And eating is the continuous form of the verb. Now, there is a challenge. People who are smart, you think, sir, I am very smart, sir. So, show me your smartness. Get out of your sleep and tell me, suppose a sentence contains V1 plus V3 plus V4. What is the name of the tense? Suppose मैं कह रहा हूं किसी एक सेंटेंस में वर्ब का V1 फॉर्म भी आया है, V3 फॉर्म भी आया है, V4 फॉर्म भी आया है, तो इस टेंस का नाम क्या हो? Look at this particular thing and guess it. Let me see how many of you are really smart. If there is V1, very good. Somebody has already given the answer. Let me check. 2 of you have given. Very good. Nupur and Saraswati. Beautiful beta. Parnika, very nice. You say present, perfect, continuous. I agree that I have very smart students in my class. I'm really happy. Okay. That's very nice. So what do you see? Sir, it's all a combination. Very good. It's all a combination of verbs, sir. Tense is no big deal. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. There are 5 forms of the verb. With the combination of the 5 forms, we write the tenses. Now, before we go further, I want you to just check these, keep these verb forms in mind. You see, had also comes in V2 and had also comes in V3. Okay, and these are V5s. All the S verbs and these are called V5 forms of the verb. Now, I want you to identify some tenses in sentences. Now, he has a car. How many verbs do you have? He has a car. How many verbs do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many verbs do you have? And where has it come from? Very nice. Somebody has given the answer. Let me check. 1 verb. Very good. And the 1 verb has come from which column? Is it V1 or it's V5? It's V1 or V5? Check. It's V1 or V5? It is V5. And if it is V5, what should we say, sir? Present. So what should we call this? Is it present perfect tense or it is only the simple present tense? Is it present perfect or it is simple present? Let me see how many of you give the answer. Simple present. Why, Vijay? Why, Vijay? Very nice. The answer is simple present, because if you want to say perfect, I want one more verb, V3. The V3 is not there. The V3 is not there. Therefore, this sentence is said to be in simple present tense. This sentence is said to be in simple present tense. Very, very nice. Beautiful. Very good answer. Now again, what about this? She's a teacher. Simple present tense or present continuous tense? Simple present tense or present continuous tense? Very nice. Very nice. I have really good students here in my class. Batana, simple present, because is coming alone. And what is? It's a helping verb or it is the to be verb? It's a helping verb or a to be verb? To be verb. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Absolutely. Very good. Subiksha. Very nice, beta. Now come to this. How many verbs do we have here? How many verbs do we have here? She has had dinner. She has had dinner. How many verbs do we have? Two verbs. One is very good. One is V5 and one is V2 or V3. What do you think? The second one is V2 or V3. What should it be? Present perfect. Very good. Sir, if it is V2, then the tense will be present past. But we do not have a tense called present past. We have a tense called present perfect, which means come here and try to understand this. See, what have I done? I have used a combination of these two verbs, has and had. I have used these two. I have used V5 and V3. I cannot use V2 because if I use it, it becomes meaningless. There is no tense called present past tense. There is no tense called present past tense. Therefore, it is present perfect tense. Absolutely. Very nice. Now come to the next sentence and tell me the, I had dinner. Now, what is the tense? Had dinner. There are two hads. Past perfect. Absolutely. Shalza. Very nice, beta. Because this is V2 and this is V3. Sir, can we take the first one as V3? You cannot. Can we take the first one as the V3? Because it will become perfect past. We do not have the tense named that way. We do not have a tense named that way. To call the first one V3 and call the second one V2, it will make no sense. Get the point? It's all very, very simple. It's no rocket science identifying the tense of sentences. Now you see, so easily you identify tenses now. Come to the next one. She has been teaching yoga since 2015. There are three verbs. There are three verbs, V5, V3, V4. What is the tense? V5, V3, V4. What is the tense? Present perfect continuous tense. Absolutely. Very, very nice. Now you see, you're not guessing. You're not guessing. You're on solid grounds. You say, what I say is what I say. I know what these tenses are. Now, I had been a banker for many years. Now, had is V2 and been is V3. What is the tense? I had been a banker for some years. What is this? I know you'll be able to crack it. Very easy. Past perfect tense. Very, very good. Absolutely. Nilima, Anjali, very nice, beta. Now, what about this? She has written three letters. Has written. V5, V3. What is the tense? She has written three letters to her, whatever. Present perfect. Absolutely. Very nice. Very, very nice. Ronak, bahut badhiya beta. Saraswati, bahut badhiya. Bahut acha. Now, here, we had a meeting. What is the tense? We had a meeting with the CEO. Past perfect or simple past? Present or past perfect or simple past? Had. Simple past. Absolutely. Which means if there is only one verb, we always use the term simple. If there is only one verb, we always use the term simple. If there is more than one verb, only then we start saying perfect or continuous. You would have noticed that. If there is one verb, we say simple. And if there is more than one verb, you see that we add some names. Now, one more thing to notice here, and that is also very important. After the first verb, you will always see that V3 or V4 follows. After the first verb, you will observe that only the V3 or V4 verbs follow, not the V1, V2, V5, not the V1, V2, V5. Once the first verb comes, the second verb is always V3, V4. It cannot be V1, V2 or V5. The first verb is called the helping verb. The first verb is called the helping verb. Now, I'll not say that that is the only definition of helping verbs. Helping verbs, the definition are many, but at least one thing you can identify. If there is more than one verb, you say that the first verb is a helping verb. Now, but look at this. There are three verbs here. Has, been, teaching. Now, sir, how many helping verbs do I have? Is there only one helping verb? No. There are two helping verbs. How? Because every time you see an action verb, every time you see an action verb, it is always the main verb. An action verb is always the main verb. And the last verb is also the main verb. So look at this. There is, which one is the last verb? Been. Therefore, this is the main verb. What is this? This is a help. This is an action verb. This is the main verb. Sir, written. This is the action verb. Therefore, the main verb. And had a meeting. There is only one verb. Only one verb. Therefore, the main verb. So, what are the definitions for being a main verb? There should only be one verb. Main verb. Action verb. Main verb. Last verb in a sentence. Main verb. Okay. In this sentence, you see. Been is a main verb because it is the last verb and had is the helping verb. Last verbs are main verbs. Action verbs are main verbs. If there is only one verb, that is also a main verb. Everything else is helping verbs. Everything else is helping verb. If you identify the main verb, you will be able to identify all the other verbs. Main verbs are, if there is only one verb, it's a main verb. The last verbs are always main verbs. Action verbs are always main verbs. Everything else is helping verbs. That is how you do it. Now, let's come to this. Sir, आप बहुत चालाक निकले. आपने present और past के बारे में तो बात करते रहे अभी तक. We have not talked about future tenses. Did I give you even one example of future tenses in the previous examples? No. Why? Because without knowing these, we cannot write future tenses in English. There is a special class of verbs called modals. Don't say modals. These are not modals. These are called modal verbs. Modal verbs look like this. They come in two formats. Look at this. Will, would, shall, should. Sir, there is no V3 and V4 form? No. Modal verbs come in only two forms. Will, would, shall, should, may, might, can, could, and some of them come only in one form. Used to. There is no present form. Ought to. There is no present form. For must, we do not have a past form. So these are called modal verbs. But why do we call them modal verbs? What do they modify, sir? What do they modify? Because the name model का मतलब ही होता है modify करना, बदलना. Model means to change. So what do they change, sir? They change the meaning of V1 verbs, which means if you write the models, you must always write V1. अगर मॉडल वर्ब लिखोगे तो V1 लिखना ही पड़ेगा क्योंकि मॉडल वर्ब्स अकेले कुछ नहीं कर पाते. मॉडल वर्ब्स लीव या किसको बदल पाते हैं? दूसरे एक वर्ब को बदल पाते हैं. और वो फॉर्मेट, वो वर्ब का फॉर्मेट कौन सा होना चाहिए? V1. If you write a model verb, if I write will, I'll have to write another verb, and that has to be in the V1 form. Okay. See, now the present model, we call these present models. We call this present models. Now, present models plus V1 will show you two tenses, present tense and future tense. Present model plus V1 will show you two tenses, present and future tense. Past model and V1 will show you all the three tenses. Will show you all the three tenses. How? Let us check. Let us check. Huh? Now look at this. She will come here. See, this is the model, present model. And I've written V1. If there is a model, we are going to follow it up with V1. Now, she will come here today, tomorrow. I can write both the adverbs. Adverbs only add more information. If I say she will come here today, then it is simple present, simple future tense. or she will, simple present tense, sorry. If I say, if I remove this and I read this, then this is simple present tense because the present model plus V1 can show present tenses. I showed you here. You see, present model plus V1 can show present tenses. So I say, she will come here today, ये present tense है. और इसी चीज को मैं change कर दूं, and if I write this, she will come here tomorrow, then it is simple future tense. Okay. Now identify the tense of this. This is a past model and this is V1. The past model can show all the three tenses. Now read the sentence, understand the sentence, and then tell me what is the tense here, because this is V3. Now tell me. Because now you tell me. She could have reached Mumbai yesterday. What is the tense, do you think? You can do it. You can do it. All of you can do it. Could have, past, and V3. So what is the tense? Past perfect. Very good, Shelza. Very nice, beta. Past perfect. How did we decide past perfect, Saraswati? Because of the adverb, you see. With models, it is not possible to say the tense until and unless you look at the adverb. You see, it says yesterday. It says yesterday. Therefore, I do not say future perfect. I say past perfect. Okay, now, I shall have been teaching for 20 years in 2030. What is this tense? See, shall have can be present or future. Now, what do you see? I see this and decide what this is. What is the tense here? Shall have been teaching. We have got V3 also and we have got V4 also. We got V3 also and V4 also. So what is the tense? Very nice, Nilima. Very, very nice. It is future perfect continuous. Anjali, very good. Future perfect continuous tense. What about this? Next month is future. So will be must be future. And this is V4. So what is the tense? She will be visiting Switzerland next month. She will be visiting Switzerland next month. What do you think is the tense? Future continuous. Absolutely. Now you tell me. Now you tell me. Sir, this is the best way to learn how to identify tenses. Though it's a little tricky. It comes, I have to speak for long. But then it's no rocket science. It's no big deal. It's very easy to identify these tenses. Okay. Now come to the next part. Now the next part of the sentences or our agenda is today what we will learn is what is active voice. What is active voice? All the tenses, all the names that we gave till now are all for active voices. But what is active voice and what is passive voice? Very simple again. The concept is very simple. Let me show you an example of the active voice. The verb in the active voice. The verb in the active voice. Now look at this. Ravi broke the glass. Who is the doer here? Who is the performer of the action? The glass or Ravi? Sir, it is Ravi, sir. The performer of the action is Ravi. And Ravi is to which side of the verb? Left hand side or right hand side of the verb? The performer is sitting on, very good. The performer is sitting on the left hand side of the verb. Is sitting on the left hand side of the verb. Whenever this happens, this is called active voice. In the active voice, the performer comes first and then the action. The performer comes first and then the action. If that happens, it is in the active voice. So all the tenses we learned, the 12 tenses we learned, in all those, what will we do? We will write the performer first and then write the verb. Okay. Ravi broke the glass. It is in simple past, active voice. Simple past, active voice. Now, the performer is on the left hand side, action verb, and voice is active voice. Now, the same sentence can be written like this. She cleaned the house. This is also in active voice. She is the performer on the left hand side of the verb. Okay. Now, what is passive voice? Look at this. The glass was broken by Ravi. Now, the performer is Ravi. The performer is Ravi. Where is he sitting? He is sitting to the right hand side of the verb. He is sitting to the right hand side of the verb. That is, first the verb comes. and then the performer. First the verb comes and then the performer. In this case, we call this a passive voice. We call this a passive voice. Now, you cannot identify the passive voices by using the trick I taught you. It will not work in passive voices. For passive voices, we have to learn the verbs by rote. रट के सीखना पड़ेगा, कोई रास्ता नहीं. Passive voice के verb combinations must be learned by rote. There is no other way. I'll show you the combinations. Please learn them by heart. Okay. Active voices, it's very easy. You can simply calculate, do the combinations, and it's done. But you have to identify that the sentence is an active voice. Only then you can do it. For the passive voices, when the doer is to the right hand side of the verb, we should always make sure that you know the verb combinations. Now come to the next one. Come to the next sentence. You see, she cleaned the house. The house was cleaned by her. See, the doer is on the right hand side of the verb. If this happens, then this verb is said to be in the passive voice. Now, let me show you the important point. See, only the active voices are given names, not the passive voices. Passive voices use different combinations of verbs, and we need to learn them by rote. There is no other way. Okay? Then, see, now what happens is, look at this. Ravi broke the glass is in simple present active voice. This is how we call out the tense. We say simple present active voice. The glass was broken by Ravi. I say simple present passive voice. This is the combination we need to learn. Okay? See, this is the sets. These are the sets. These sets of verbs must be learned by rote. So, such simple present passive is written with is-am are plus V3, not V4. When you write is-am are plus V3, it is always the simple present passive. If I write is-am are plus V4, it will become active voice. I am teaching, active voice. I am being taught. I am being taught, passive voice. Okay. So remember, when we write is-am are plus V3, it is simple present passive. And when we write was were plus V3, it is simple past passive. I'll share the PPT with you. Please learn these combinations by rote. Was were plus V3 is simple past passive. Model, after the model, we always write the V1, I told you. Therefore, this is V1. Model plus B plus V3, this will change the simple future active to simple future passive. Model plus B plus V3 will change it to simple future passive. Now, let's come to the second set. The second sets of verbs is like this. Has, have, been plus V3 will give you the present perfect passive. Had plus been plus V3 will give you the past perfect passive. Model plus have is V1. Model plus have plus been plus V3 will give you future perfect passive. Okay. So how many combinations of passive have we seen? 3 here, set 1, and 3 here, set 2. Now let's go to set 3. Set 3, we have got 3 more. But this cannot be Mohammed Mirza beta, you are very late. Why? What happened? Now, look at this. Here, set 3, what have I done? Future continuous passive is not possible. मैंने काट दिया. This is not possible. You cannot write this combination in English. Why? Can you tell me? Think about it and tell me, give me an answer. Model plus being plus V3 is not possible to write in English. Why is that so? And is, am, are plus being plus V3 will give you present continuous passive. Was, were plus being plus V3 will give you past continuous passive. And this combination is not possible. Therefore, there is no future continuous passive in English. Why can't we write model plus being set like this? Will being. Why can't we do this? Being is V4. Absolutely, Vijay. Because models always come with V1. Models always come with V1. Will be, will eat, will go, will do. Okay, you cannot write any other form of the verb. So that's clear. Now, how many sets, how many combinations have we learned? In the first set, we learned 3. In the second set, we learned 3. 3 plus 3, 6. And in the third set, we have 2. Okay, 8. Okay, so 8 combinations of the passive voice. So why are there not 12? Because you see, if there are 12 active voices, then there should be 12 passive voices, out of which you have taken out 1. You said future continuous is not possible. Even then, there must be 11. No, because there you can have only 8 combinations for the passive, because future continuous tenses do not have the passive voice. In English, future continuous tenses, perfect continuous tenses, perfect continuous tenses. What are they? How many are there? 3. Present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous. You cannot write the passive for these. And for future continuous, you cannot write passive. Future continuous, you cannot write passive. For perfect continuous, we cannot write the passive. Future continuous, we cannot write the passive. Therefore, there are 4 combinations for which we cannot write the passive. Okay, there are 4 combinations for which we cannot write the passive. What are they, sir? All the 3 perfect continuous tenses and 1 future continuous tense. We cannot write the passive. Therefore, I told you there are 12 active voice tenses and 8 passive voice tenses, which means there are only 20 tenses in English. Which means there are only 20 tenses in English. Every language, every sentence you write, from the most thick of the books to the, say, 1 sentence, they must fall under these 20 combinations only. Okay. Now there is an exercise. You do it now. Be ready. Okay. You want to see the combinations once more? See the combinations once more. Is, am, are plus V3 is simple present passive. Was, were plus V3 is simple past passive. Model plus be plus V3 is simple future passive. Then has, have been plus V3 is present perfect passive. Had been plus V3 is past perfect passive. Model plus have been plus V3 is future perfect passive. Okay. Is, am, are being plus V3 is present continuous passive. Was, were, being plus V3 is past continuous passive. There is no future continuous passive, and there are no perfect continuous passive tenses in English. Okay. Do this exercise. Tell me, stop there. What is the tense here and what is the voice? Stop there. What is the tense and what is the voice? Think about it. Think about it. अगर नहीं आ रहा तो हिंदी सोचना. वहीं रुको. वहीं रुको. कितने verbs हैं? How many verbs are there? Active, passive. Where is the doer? Simple present active voice. Very good, Anjali. Very nice, beta. Simple present active voice. Stop there. You stop there. The subject is hidden. You see, the subject is hiding here. You stop there. तुम वहीं रुको. तुम बोला नहीं मैंने. So you is hidden there, which means the doer is on the left hand side and there is only one verb. So if the doer is on the left hand side, it must be called active voice. It is simple present active. Very good, beta. What about the second one? Why did you stop the car? Why did you stop the car? Now this is an interrogative sentence. This is an interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentences take a different format. They are written differently. Okay, so what is the tense here? Why did you stop the car? Which one is the verb here? Which one is the action here? Action is here. And who? What is the subject? You. The doer is to the left hand side. So what is the tense? This is a modal verb. This is a modal verb. The modal verb is always followed by V1. Do, does, did are modal verbs. Therefore, we write the V1. We say do. What did you do? Where did he go? Where does he go? It is simple past active. Very good, Nilima. Very nice, beta. Simple past active. What about the third sentence? How has he been doing lately? The action is here. The doer is here. So how has he been doing lately? Look at the verbs, count them, and tell me whether it is active voice or passive voice and what is the tense. How has he been doing lately? Present perfect or present perfect continuous, Anjali? Present perfect continuous, passive or active? Saraswati. Active or passive? Think about that. Active voice, absolutely. Because you see, the doer is on the left-hand side of the verb. There is one verb here, the second verb, the third verb, and the doer is to the left-hand side of the verb. Therefore, it is active voice. Very good. What about the fourth sentence? She has been awarded the Oscar for acting. She has been awarded the Oscar for acting. Who is the doer? She or somebody else? She is the doer or somebody else? Did she give the Oscar? Did she give the Oscar, Vijay? Subiksha? Anjali? She has been awarded. उसे दिया गया है. उसने नहीं दिया. उसने नहीं दिया है. उसका हिंदी क्या है उस सेंटेंस का? Passive voice. See, the doer is hidden. Mahima. Very good, beta. The doer is hidden. She has been awarded the Oscar for acting by the Academy. This part is missing. Understand now, Subiksha? She has been awarded the Oscar for acting. The dog was killed. What is the tense? What is the voice? The dog was killed. Did the dog kill somebody? Passive, absolutely. Okay, and the doer is not there in the sentence. Sometimes we leave the doer in the passive voice. Now, look at this. You are asked to come here by 9 a.m. By who? By me. Okay. So what is the tense here? You were asked to come here by 9 a.m. What is the tense? Passive voices, okay? What is the tense? Passive voices, okay? What is the tense? That's what I want. What is the tense? Were asked, simple past. Simple past, passive, very good. Simple past, passive. Now here, everybody is being scanned by the health workers. Is being scanned. Is being scanned. Present continuous what? Present continuous what? Active or passive? Very good. Present continuous, passive by the health workers. Absolutely. Now there comes. Now you just need to tell me whether these are correct. She had been a teacher. Can I write this combination or this sentence is wrong? Think about it. Calculate. Active voice, passive voice. Active voice, passive voice. Is this combination possible? Saraswati, think about it. Past perfect, no. There are three verbs. Three verbs. V2, V3, V3. No, it's not continuous. There is no ing. Very good, Subiksha. Not possible. She had been a teacher. Sir, this is, first it is active voice. First, it is not the passive voice. Okay, it is the active voice. And if it is the active voice, I should be able to tell the tense. I'm not able to tell the tense, sir. Past perfect, perfect, there is no tense. Past perfect, perfect, there is no tense. How do we make it correct? You simply remove one had. And the sentence is correct. She had been a teacher. Okay, now try this. Is this a correct combination? You were being sick, I heard. I heard, no issues. This is one more clause. But here, you were being sick. Is it possible? Is, am, are plus being. Not possible. Here also, you were being sick. No. You are being sick, possibly. But not you are being sick. Because I did not tell you a concept. See, I did not give you a combination like that. Is, am, are, being. I have not given you the concept. This V3 cannot be been. Remember. This V3 in the first set cannot be V3. Been. It can be anything else. It cannot be been. Okay. So now come to the next one. Everybody is not there. Now that is done. And here, last one. We had have dinner. Is this possible? Acha. They will be coming. They will be coming. Is it possible? They will being coming. Will is a model. Not possible. After the model, we want V1. After the model, we want V1. Not possible. So she will be coming. We would have worked. Now, what about the fourth sentence? We had have dinner. Now you have it. Now this part is okay. This is simple present tense. What about this? Does it have a valid combination? She had have dinner. Think about it. Had is V2 and have is V1. Is it possible, Vijay? Past, present? Have had, absolutely. So this will also not work. This will also not work. Not vice versa, absolutely. Now, had has, not possible. Done. So what all have we learned? We learned what tenses are. We learned how to identify them. And we also learned what future tenses are and how to identify them and the active and the passive combinations. Now, to the last part. This is the last part for today, and this is also very important. We get stuck in has, have, and had. We never realize the meanings ever so slightly keep changing. When they are helping verbs, they have a different meaning. When they are main verbs, they have a different meaning. So until and unless we see the meaning, or you understand that it's a helping verb or the main verb, it's not possible to make sense of the sentence. Okay. Now, has, have, had can work in two fashions. They can be helping verbs also. They can also be main verbs. So let's first of all check when they become helping verbs, what is the sense? What meaning does it give? Okay. And if has is a helping verb, it has to always come with V3. Remember, always remember, has, have, had. If after this you are going to write any verb, that verb must be in V3. They can come alone, in which case there will be main verbs. But if you are going to write any other verb after has, have, had, it has to be always V3. Okay. Now, has is a helping verb. हिंदी में has को helping verb के तरह use करते हैं, तो हिंदी हो जाता है चुका है, चुकी है. She has come. वह आ चुकी है. आ गई है, चुकी है. ये meaning देता है. ठीक है, as a helping verb. And have as a helping verb also does the same thing. Like, she has eaten. वह खा चुकी है. I have done the work. मैं काम कर चुका हूं. I have done the work. मैं काम कर चुका हूं. So as helping verbs, they have चुका हूं, चुकी हूं, चुके हैं. ये वाला सेंस देता है. Had बोलता है चुका था, चुकी थी. Like, look at this. They had returned by 9 p.m. वो 9 बजे तक वापस आ चुके थे. They returned अगर मैं लिखूंगा, वे आए, 9 बजे के पहले आए, 9 बजे तक आ चुके थे. They had returned by 9 p.m. So simply, has, have, had, they are very easy to understand when they come as helping verbs because they take the sense of चुका है, चुका हूं, चुके हैं, चुकी है. That. Okay. But when they come as main verbs, now here is where the trouble starts. As main verbs, they have different meanings. The first meaning is possess or own. Possess or own. I say she has a bungalow. She possesses a bungalow, and here it is the main verb. How, sir? Because there is only one verb. Only one verb. This is not the helping verb. Okay, this is not the helping verb. So she has a bungalow. उसके पास bungalow है. Possession. They have many vintage cars. उनके पास कई vintage cars हैं. चुके हैं वगैरह नहीं है यहाँ पर, because these are main verbs. Now, the second meaning is sometimes they also work like to be verbs. I have many friends. मेरे कई सारे दोस्त हैं. This is simply हैं. मेरे कई सारे दोस्त हैं. I have many friends. She has her exam today. उसका आज एग्जाम है. Now look at this. So this is more like to be verbs, is, am, are, was, were. This meaning also they give sometimes in English. They also have the meaning of eating. Has, have, had can have the meaning of eating when they come as main verbs. I have dinner at 9. मैं 9 बजे dinner खाता हूं. I have dinner at 9. Now look at this. Here it's a helping verb. They have had their breakfast. Now here it is the main verb, which means eaten. And here it is chuka hu. Now read the sentence. They have had their breakfast. वे breakfast खा चुके हैं. They breakfast खा चुके हैं. They have had their breakfast. Now look at this sentence. She had had her dinner when her father arrived. जब उसके पापा आए, she had had her dinner. खा चुकी थी. Okay? She had had her dinner when her father arrived. जब तक उसके पापा आते तब तक वो खाना खा चुकी थी. That is the power of knowing these small tidbits. Grammar is not very difficult. If you know the tidbits, how these small things work together. Okay? Now, if you try to cram grammar, it will not work. Grammar is always led by logic. You understand the logic? It's pretty easy. Okay. Now, the last meaning of has, have, had as main verbs is feel or experience. महसूस करना या अनुभूति करना. महसूस करना. Okay, feel or experience. Now, we had a good time at the party. We experienced a good time at the party. Had a good time. I have a headache. I'm experiencing a headache. Now, that is all for today. Now, you can shoot your questions. Whatever questions you want to ask, you can go ahead. Now, you can ask me. Okay? So, if somebody has any questions, you can go ahead and ask me. Otherwise, we are at the end of the class. Is everything clear to all of you? Yes. Any question you want to ask, Vida? You raise your hand, I'll unmute you, you can talk. Or say, no, sir, no more questions. You have taught us enough. Enough for the day, let's go to sleep. Clear, very good. Nilesh is entering the class now. No, sir, thanks, no questions. Thank you. But then in the next class, I want all of you to bring back what I've taught you. Don't come and say, sir, we have forgotten everything. I will share the files with you. I'll share the files. All of them will be available to you, including the future perfect continuous tense. Very good, Mahima. So let me write a sentence, future perfect continuous tense, and look at this. I shall have been, I shall have been living in London. नीलिमा, ठीक है? महिमा बेटा, देखना. I shall have been living in London. मैं लंदन में रहता आ रहा हूँगा. मैं लंदन में रहता आ रहा हूँगा. सर, ऐसे सेंटेंस बनते हैं क्या? बनते हैं, बकायदे बनते हैं. We don't use these tenses so easily. Future perfect continuous tenses seem to be very heavy, so we do not use them. But these are perfectly all right sentences. I shall have been living in London for 20 years next year. For 20 years next year. अगले साल मैं 20 सालों से लंदन में रहता आ रहा हूँगा. It's a perfectly all right sentence. No issues at all. What is the issue with Mahima? Look at this. Shall have is model plus V1. Now this can be present or past, present or future, because present models can show present or future. Now been is V3 and this is V4. Mahima, now that is a trick that I have not even come close to. Mahima, we will learn when to use shall, when to use will, when to use would, when to use could, and what will be the difference in meanings, when to use must. But because you asked me, let me tell you the difference. Simply in affirmative sentences. Now, if you know what affirmative sentences are, Mahima, then shall and will can be used interchangingly with first persons. Now you see how deep I'm getting into. The question that you asked is such that I have to get into the depths. Now, first person is I and we. First person is I and we. With the first person, you can use shall or will with the same meaning if it is an affirmative sentence. Now, what is an affirmative sentence? I shall go, I will go. It's an affirmative sentence. In case of had, it is V2 plus V3. Absolutely, Vida. Absolutely, Shalza. You're right. It's not V2 plus V3. It cannot be V3 plus V2. If it happens, if he thought so, Shalza, then the name will not come. What is not an affirmative sentence? Okay. What is not an affirmative sentence is this. Look at this. Will I help you? Shall I help you? Now these are interrogative sentences. Shall I help you? Now the meaning changes. Okay, again I'm using the first person, Mahima. You see, I'm using the first person, but the meaning has changed. That is why I'm being very particular about telling you that shall and will, when used in the affirmative sentence, they will have the same meaning. But if it is used in a negative sentence, if it is used in an interrogative sentence, the meaning will change. Kabhi madad karunga? Will I help you? Kabhi madad karunga? Shall I help you? Madad karu? Aapki madad karu? Isme madad karunga? पहले पैसा लेके बहुत बैठे हो, ठीक है? Suppose somebody says, बहुत पैसा लेके बैठे हो. You have already taken so much money and you are not returning it, and you want still want more money. Will I help you? Never. तुम्हारी मदद करूंगा? कभी नहीं. Now, you see an old lady struggling with some burden, okay, and you go on to help her, and you say, "Shall I help you?" Now you are offering. Here I cannot say, "Will I help you?" Okay, so that's how grammar, we can get into the absolute depths of grammar. Don't worry, I'll teach you everything. Okay, by God's grace, I have a book to my credit. Okay, I've written books also, so don't worry, you are in good hands. We can take care of all your needs in EduShastra. Just come with your doubts, and learn whatever I teach you in the classes. Okay, thank you all very much. See you. Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.